What if I told you that while your friends in San Francisco are celebrating finally affording a 400 square foot studio at 35, you could be living in a 3,000 square foot home surrounded by beautiful scenery and mountain views? While a $3,000 budget offers you a tiny room with no flexibility in most expensive cities, you can have a beautiful estate with lots of space and places you never imagined would be possible. In this video, we uncover 7 cities that prove the American dream isn't dead. It just moved to places most people have never heard of. These cities are ranked based on a combined analysis of square footage, lifestyle amenities, hidden cost advantages, and that intangible quality of life factor that makes you excited to wake up every morning. We're starting with great value and building to absolutely mind-blowing. Let's begin. Number 7, Knoxville, Tennessee. Game day in Knoxville means 102,000 people filling Neyland Stadium, the entire city painted orange, and an energy that makes you feel part of something bigger than yourself. But here's what tourists don't see. On quiet Tuesday evenings, you can kayak the Tennessee River as it winds past downtown high-rises, with the Great Smoky Mountains rising like sleeping giants on the horizon. For $3,000, you choose your adventure, a luxury loft overlooking that river with floor-to-ceiling windows, or a 2,500 square foot family home where your backyard backs up to hiking trails that lead into America's most visited national park. Knoxville's median rent is about 42% lower than the US average, but your $3,000 here lands you in the top 5% of the rental market. In NYC, that budget pays for a space so small, you have to choose between a couch and a dining table. You literally cannot fit both. Tennessee has no state income tax, which means you're keeping an extra $8,000 plus annually compared to most states. Plus, your weekends become adventures to waterfalls that would be Instagram famous if they weren't hidden in the Smokies. Number 6, Savannah, Georgia. Picture this. You're walking down cobblestone streets lined with 300-year-old live oaks, their Spanish moss creating natural curtains that filter golden sunlight, like something from a Southern Gothic novel. This is Savannah's historic district, where every street tells a story and your morning coffee comes with architecture that predates the American Revolution. Your $3,000 here gets you a 1,600 square foot Victorian rental. Right in this historic heart, we're talking high ceilings, original hardwood floors, and southern charm that literally cannot be replicated anywhere else in America. At roughly $188 per square foot, your $3,000 in Savannah's historic district secures space that would cost $5,000 plus in most major cities. In San Francisco, that same money gets you a converted storage closet where your kitchen is your hallway, and historic means the building survived the 1989 earthquake. What's more, you can spend lunch breaks in Forsyth Park instead of subway tunnels, and evening walks include riverfront views where cargo ships pass like floating cities. Now here's the hidden advantage. Georgia has no state income tax, so that $3,000 rent effectively costs even less when you factor in tax savings. Beyond that, Savannah's cost of living means your money stretches beyond housing. Dinners out, weekend trips to Tybee Island, and that authentic Southern lifestyle become affordable luxuries instead of rare splurges. Number 5, Bend, Oregon. Imagine this morning routine. Coffee on your deck as the sun hits the Three Sisters peaks, painting them pink and gold like a daily art show only you get to see. This isn't vacation, this is Tuesday in Bend, where your $3,000 gets you 1,200 square feet, with mountains so close you can count the snowflakes. By 8 a.m., you could be skiing powder at Mount Bachelor. Then by noon, hiking to hidden alpine lakes where the water is so clear it looks fake. And by evening, you're at a brewery, where the beer is craft and the people actually make eye contact instead of staring at phones. Compare that to San Francisco, where $3,000 gets you a studio that's literally a hallway with a hot plate, and your only view is the homeless encampment across the alley. Tech workers here benefit from geographic arbitrage, keeping high salaries while living in mountain paradise. In fact, remote teams are discovering they can save $60,000 annually per person on housing costs, with productivity actually increasing when people aren't stressed about basic survival. What's more, Bend's population has grown 27% in the past decade as remote workers discover this lifestyle, yet premium $3,000 rentals are still available. Number 4. Sandpoint, Idaho. Lake Pend Oreille is so deep and acoustically perfect that the U.S. Navy secretly tests submarines here, in Idaho, 300 miles from the nearest ocean. This 43-mile glacier-carved lake is so pristine you can see fish swimming at 20-foot depths, and your $3,000 gets you 1,400 square feet on its shores. With Sandpoint's median rent under $2,000, your $3,000 budget puts you in the absolute top tier, often with private lake access. Morning mist rises off water that reflects forested peaks like a mirror, while bald eagles fish just yards from your deck. The silence here is so complete, you can hear fish jumping a quarter-mile away. Meanwhile, in New York, that same budget gets you subway noise, sirens, and human noise so constant you forget what actual quiet sounds like. Now here's what locals don't advertise. Schweitzer Mountain Resort, 11 miles away, gets the same snow as Jackson Hole, but costs 70% less. Actually, people are transitioning from $6,000 monthly Manhattan rent to owning lakefront property with 3 acres and seeing measurable health improvements from the lifestyle change. Number 3. Livingston, Montana. The Yellowstone River runs through Livingston like liquid gold, carrying the same waters that Native American tribes considered sacred for thousands of years. This is Paradise Valley, where morning mist rises off the river while the Absaroka Mountains stand guard like ancient sentinels. Your $3,000 gets you 1,600 square feet in an authentic railroad town, where the morning routine might include spotting elk on your way to the coffee shop, and evening entertainment is world-class fly fishing, steps from your front door. Meanwhile, in coastal cities, people pay therapists hundreds per hour to deal with urban stress. Here, however, stress literally flows away with the river current. Writers and artists have been drawn here for generations, not for Instagram likes, but because creativity flourishes when your mind isn't cluttered with survival anxiety. In fact, the town supports artists who can afford to focus on their craft instead of just surviving, with many owning their own creative spaces. 2. Astoria, Oregon. Massive container ships pass your window like floating cities, navigating the Columbia River between 2 states, while Victorian mansions cascade down hillsides like something from a Wes Anderson film. This is where Lewis and Clark completed their legendary expedition, and where your $3,000 gets you 1,700 square feet of maritime history. Astoria's average rent sits under $1,700, meaning $3,000 unlocks Victorian mansions and water views normally reserved for coastal millionaires. Pacific storms roll in like nature's theater, with waves crashing against the jetty, while you watch from your heated living room, wine in hand, feeling both safe and connected to something elemental. Meanwhile, in expensive coastal cities, you pay premium prices to live like a sardine. Here, however, you get Victorian architecture, ocean access, and small-town authenticity where strangers still say hello. Oregon's zero sales tax means your money stretches beyond housing. No tax on groceries, clothes, or that new kayak for exploring the Columbia River estuary. In fact, the average person saves $4,800 annually just on sales tax compared to high-tax states. Beaufort, South Carolina. Spanish moss drapes 300-year-old live oaks like nature's curtains, while dolphins surface in tidal creeks so regularly that locals name them and track their families across generations. This is Beaufort, where your $3,000 doesn't just rent you space, it rents you a piece of American poetry. We're talking 2,100 square feet in antebellum mansions with heart pine floors, 12-foot ceilings, and wraparound porches that overlook water where Civil War stories still echo in the Spanish moss. Coastal living ranked Beaufort among the top 5 happiest seaside towns in America. Yet, median rent is 60% lower than Charleston. In Charleston, 60 miles north, this same space costs $8,000. In coastal California, you couldn't even afford the parking space. Year-round outdoor weather means kayaking becomes your commute to sanity. while pristine beaches on nearby islands offer swimming in water so clear you forget you're on the East Coast. What's more, people are transitioning from tiny West Coast apartments to historic mansions where dolphins swim past their private docks, making every morning feel like vacation. Now here's the secret locals know. Paris Island Marine Base provides economic stability, while the tourism industry creates opportunities without the gentrification that destroys affordability. While everyone else fights over overpriced apartments in cities that extract wealth instead of building it, these communities are quietly offering the lifestyle most Americans say they want but think requires a $1 million salary. Now here's what nobody talks about. These places won't stay secret forever. Bend was affordable 5 years ago. Now it's trending upward. Meanwhile, Savannah is getting discovered by remote workers with serious money. And Beaufort is attracting retirees from expensive coastal markets. Your choice isn't just about rent. It's about whether you want to spend your prime years barely surviving in expensive cities or actually living in places where your money builds wealth instead of just covering survival. Which city shocked you most? Drop a comment with your top pick. I read every single one and respond to serious questions about making the move. Hit subscribe because next week I'm revealing the exact rental markets that are about to explode in value and why smart investors are quietly buying there right now. Remember, the best opportunities don't stay hidden forever. Start your research before these become the next expensive destinations everyone wishes they discovered earlier.